Alright you guys, so these are the tools that we're going to be using today to complete our self-cut. These are the guards. You can find most of these tools down below in the description. If you click my Amazon storefront link, there's going to be different categories. Just select the Barber Essentials category and you'll find all the stuff there. This is the before, so we're going to be doing like a mid-fade, bald mid-fade, no C-cups, drop it in the back just a little bit. Take the top down just a little bit, shave my face, shape up my mustache. So I have my 2-guard on my Andis Masters, and the first step is to cut the hair down. So I started with my lever open just so that I don't cut too short. My hair texture is very weird. It cuts patchy because it's wavy. It's not straight, but it isn't curly when it's short. It only gets curly when it's longer. So I recommend starting with your lever open, and then if you want to go shorter, then close your lever based on that. So next I close my lever a little bit, and you can see it's already cutting patchy a little bit. My hair texture is just weird. It's always been like that since I was a kid. So this is a 2-guard closed on my Andis Masters. And I'm kind of avoiding the hairline area because that area tends to cut shorter. Everyone has imperfections with their head. It's either their hairline, their crown. Me personally, I have a very light crown, as you can see. It's just something I inherited from my dad. He has the same thing. We both have like very light crowns since birth. Next, I recommend blow drying your hair just to get all those loose hairs out. Otherwise, when you're sleeping or when you scratch your head, you're gonna have all these hairs in your fingernails and on your pillow. Now I'm going to be making my first guideline. Now this guideline, you want to be very precise with it. I recommend making your trimmer like this, flipping it on its backside, and removing the bulk like that. Otherwise, if you set your guideline in pretty harshly, it's going to be very difficult to get out, and it's going to take you a very long time. And you want to make sure both sides match up. Me personally, another imperfection I have is that my vertical bars are very short. So I have to be very precise with my guidelines. If I take it up too high on the side, it's going to look like I don't even have a shape up on my vertical bars. So I'm being very precise around the ear, and in the back I can kind of be more freely with it. So just notice how I set the line in towards the back. Once again, I recommend having your clipper or your trimmer on its backside and removing everything like that. That way it'll fade just like butter. Next, I have my Stylecraft Mythic clippers, and my lever is fully open, meaning it's fully extended. And I'm going up 1 inch, like 3/4 of an inch, giving myself a lot of room to work with. And just notice my hand movements in the back. Now that little dark spot you see, that is just a lump in my head. So that's another imperfection I kind of have to work around. We all have imperfections in your head. I'm sure the person watching this right now is thinking of imperfections they have with their hair. We all have it. It's just as long as you know how to work around them. So notice how I'm following that same guideline all the way around my head, but I'm compressing the guidelines towards my vertical bars because you remember, I want to preserve the hair near my vertical bars so that my shape up can be noticeable and sharp. If you have longer vertical bars, you can kind of be careless with this, but since mine are very short, I have to be very precise. So notice how I'm like scooping out and using the corner right there. Now I have my 1-guard and the lever is fully open. And I'm basically doing the same thing that I did on our previous step. And I'm not trying to be too harsh with setting this number 1 guard guideline in. And my lever is fully extended. It's not closed at all. It's fully extended. And I'm kind of scooping out towards the back, because the back is going to be the most difficult to get these lines out, to be honest. Now I have my number 4 guard, and the lever is fully closed. So we're not starting with it open. We just jump straight to closed because the length on top is already shorter. Now, if you have a longer length on top, then you might want to start with the lever open with the 4 or even a 5 guard. But since I have a 2 closed on top, the 4 is pretty much going to blend right in, especially if you're scooping out off the ridge of your head, which I'm doing. Notice I'm not really digging in. I'm like gliding off the shape of my head. Now towards the back right here, I will be digging in, because you don't want to drop that fade too low in the back. Otherwise it's going to look bulky. Now we're going to do the same step, but with our 3 guard, and the lever is fully open, it's fully extended. Then we close it and repeat the same step. Basically, when your lever is open, you can kind of be more generous with your flicking motion. When it's closed, you kind of want to just go at that line directly. This guard will not erase that guideline. What this is doing, we're pretty much still debulking. We're getting what the 4 couldn't get. And the same thing with the back. Trying to come off the shape of our head. You want to come off the shape of your head. So my head is pretty much round. I do have bumps on the side of my head near my ears, like not like bumps like pimples, but like an actual head ridge that comes out. And I'm fading with my left hand right now. I'm right hand dominant, I'm right-handed, so it's pretty difficult, but I'm still getting the job done. Next, we grab our 2 guard, started with our lever open, and I'm really scooping out now because the 2 guard is the worst guard in my opinion. It's very easy to mess up with a 2 guard. You can kind of ruin a haircut with the 2 guard. And as you see right here, I closed my lever fully, so it's fully closed right now. And I'm even being more sensitive with the flick out. Now when I switch sides, I'm opening my lever back up to repeat the same steps, but then I eventually close it. So right now my lever is open. And now it's closed. You want to really utilize the guard. If you have curly hair, it's going to be a bit easier, but since my hair is pretty straight when it's low, it's going to be pretty difficult to get the hair to feed in through the guard, especially in the patchy parts. And then my head's very lumpy, which doesn't help at all. So I'm kind of forcing the guard, forcing the hair to feed into the guard. That's what makes it cut. And I'm being very careful because once again, the 2 guard is just the weirdest guard, because I personally feel like they should have a guard in between the 2 and the 3, because the 3 and the 2 do not fade into each other, in my opinion. At least the way I fade. You're always going to have to switch and then flick out with the 2 and then dig in with the 3. It's just difficult. Now I have my 1.5 Babyliss guard. Pay attention to the guards that are up in the corner, the pictures. These are the exact guards that I'm using. And I pretty much started with my lever closed on this. This is really going to fade right into the 2. attacking that bottom guideline, or the middle guideline. And I try to use my right hand as much as possible, but then when it's time to switch over, you just have to. Trust me, I'm horrible with my left hand. When I'm cutting regular people's hair, I never use my left hand unless I'm combing. So if I could do it, you guys can do it too. Now I have my one guard and the levers closed, fully closed. And we're pretty much inching at the line. What that means is I'm pretty much just going up just a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I'm not trying to flick all the way up. This is basically going to soften up the zero line that we're going to get out with our zero guard and our lever open. So you can't see it right now, but my fingers are actually extending the lever. So I'm kind of opening it as I go up a little bit and then closing it when I go back down. If there's an area that you're unsure about, just start with your lever a little bit more open and then work your way down. Because remember this, you can always take more hair off. You can never put hair back. So once hair is cut, there's no way you could put it back. Now we're going to switch to our Andis Master, and I have my 2 guard, the purple 2 guard. Now the reason why I switched is because the master blade is longer. So as you can see, I'm flicking out, and it's kind of that perfect in between the 2 guard and the 3 guard that I was discussing earlier, how it's very difficult to fade in between. The Andis 2 guard is on the Andis Master is pretty much like a 2.5 guard, if that makes sense. Now what I have right now is the 0.5 Babyliss guard. Now if you've been watching my channel for a while, I call this guard the 0.75 guard. Why? Because once again, it cuts longer than the half guard, but it cuts shorter than the 1 guard. So it's that perfect in between. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So what this is doing is this is pretty harshly softening up that half guard line. It's basically getting it perfect for the half guard, so that when I follow it up with the half guard, it's going to be gone. That middle guideline is going to be gone. Now this is the half guard. As you can see, it's significantly smaller. The teeth are significantly smaller than the Babyliss half guard. So that's why I call this the real half guard and the other one the 0.75 guard. Now on this, I have my lever halfway and then I closed it. But towards the back, I noticed there was still some weight. So I grabbed my 1 guard on my Andis Master, and I'm pretty much just digging in, trying to soften up that guideline before I go back with my half. And as you can see, there was some more weight. So then I'm completing a side quest right now. Now we're back on a mission, and I grab my half guard again. Now once that guideline's pretty much done, what you're going to do is fade out that bottom guideline. And what we're using to do this is our wedge blade on our Babyliss Rose Gold FX. And the wedge blade is great in my opinion because it pretty much gets out that bottom line. In this case, it isn't going to get it out because my hair texture is very weird. We're going to have to use our detachable clippers. But in most cases, it gets it right out, which is great. Because that bottom guideline can be a pain. I'm telling you, it can be a pain. So I'm using my corners and I'm pretty much digging in, but flicking out as I move up. And just notice my fingers on my lever. As I move up on the fade, the lever moves down with it. Otherwise, you're going to end up pushing the fade up. So just be very careful with that. And notice how I'm very careful towards my vertical bars. You want to keep those dark. The goal is to use as little enhancements as possible to make the hairline sharp. The goal is to get it sharp without enhancements. Now we're moving on towards the back. And I'm using the right side of my blade This is where I kind of get the weird curvature in my head. In the back, it's going to be very difficult to get that line out. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. So I'm experienced, so I know what to do. But for someone who doesn't know what to do, just keep watching. So moving on to that left side, I'm kind of just leaving the back as is right now. We're going to go back and fix it soon. Once this step is done, the fade's pretty much finished. You just have to go back and refine it. So to refine it, I suggest using your main clipper that you faded with. For me, it was the Stylecraft Mythics. If you guys want to purchase it, you can use my promo code The4thKen for 10% off any Stylecraft or Gamma products. So here's where I switched to my Zupra detachables, and I'm using my corner to really fully blend that bottom line out. And then I grab my liners. So here's where we attack the back. So first I have my 0.75 guard, remember from earlier, aka the half guard with Babyliss. And I'm pretty much flicking up and away from the line. And now I have my half guard with Wall, my Wall Premium half guard. And that's gonna get the job done. Fade it. So with the hairline, I'm not gonna be using any hairspray or anything. What I'm gonna be doing first is taking down the front line with my 2 guard closed. And I'm trying to leave my front hairline as thick as possible. I want my line to be pretty dark. And only thing I used was water. I didn't show it, but I just sprayed a little bit of water and then dried it. No hairspray, because if your hair is pretty straight like mine, when it's short, you don't really need hairspray, especially if it lays down. If you have curly hair, then I definitely recommend hairspray, or if your hair is extremely wavy in the front, then definitely. But what I'm doing with the lineup, it's pretty simple. I'm making a straight line, but notice how when I go to the corners, I kind of make my clipper blade crooked. Because if you follow it straight all across, it's going to be crooked. You kind of want to tilt your clipper blade up, like how I'm doing right now, towards the corners. That way, when you put your head up, the line's going to look straight. Now, if you have curves in your head, like on your forehead, this will dictate the outcome of your hairline. Now, what I mean by that is if you have a big lump on your front line and you make the hairline straight, when you look in the mirror, it's going to be crooked because of that lump. So as you can see, it's super crispy even without enhancements. And I'm going to do my mustache really quickly. I don't like my mustache too skinny. I just like it cleaned up. I don't like when it's wild. And now I'm just gonna clean up my face with my shavers. What this does, it just makes the haircut look complete. Otherwise, you just look unfinished. This really gets it razor bald everywhere. And then I'm gonna do some detail work. I suggest doing your detail work before enhancements. As you can see, I use Kiss Express, the darkest brown. I just used a little bit, honestly. I didn't use a lot. Just sprayed it on the corners and on the front line just a little bit. And this is how we're looking. It's faded. So I'm gonna do some last minute detail work, and this is pretty much the cut. Hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. This is the before. I was looking rough. And this is the after. Clean, crispy, simple, as you can see. I'm crispy, bro. It was sharp before enhancements. I only enhanced these part and this a little bit. Any tools that you see me use, they'll be down in my Amazon storefront in the description below. If you want to buy this clipper or any Stylecraft/Gamma products, use my promo code The4thKen for 10% off your purchase. And yeah, that's the cut. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.